You're listening to Rebel Hearts Rising, where we believe your darkest hour holds the key to awakening depth and profound inner wisdom. I'm Tam Burke, and I created this to remind you that when your heart wants to shut down, that's your call to rise, like a phoenix from the ashes. What makes this unique is that every episode is paired with a guided meditation to help awaken your intuition and heal on deeper layers. Together, we'll turn pain into power. What's up, y'all, and welcome to another episode of Rebel Hearts Rising. I'm your host, Tam Burke, and I can't wait to get started today. I had never even heard the term conditional confidence until this last year, and boy, have I lived a life of learning what that is all about. To give you a short frame of reference, conditional confidence is when your confidence is conditional on something outside of yourself. And now something that's really challenging is that many of you might not even notice or feel this until you have a perceived loss. You lose your job, you break up with your partner, you gain weight. And then all of a sudden, these things that gave you a false sense of confidence are no longer there to support you. And this is a problem because it ends up teaching you that you are your achievements. And this makes sense because we've grown up in a society where you get A's through D's or even F's, that we go to school systems where it looks like a specific way to succeed. And when we're not succeeding in that way, we don't have confidence. And so that carries over into the rest of our lives as we grow up. It can look like what kind of car we drive, the relationships that we have, the bodies that we have, especially as women. If you listen to that last episode with Naomi, which y'all loved, was a favorite so far, we really see how confidence hits women extra hard based off of what we look like and how we're praised to be. And this becomes a problem in our life because when we're constantly praised for something that's outside of us and then we lose that thing, we start to question our own worth. And the bigger problem with all of this is we are simply not anything that's outside of us. But we don't really spend a lot of time understanding our inherent worth. And I'd like to share a little story with you about how I have learned a lot about conditional confidence. As many of you may know, I used to own a wonderful magical yoga studio in Boulder County. And it was we had a very successful business. My partner and I ran it for 7 years. And within that, we also had a very successful rocket practice. Because of that, I was very strong. I had a very advanced practice. I had abs, and to be honest, I kind of started to think abs were just a natural way of being for me. And it wasn't until we moved away and moved to a new town and I had surgery and had 2 weeks of bed rest and 2 months of not being able to work out at all that my body started to change entirely. I haven't been able to consistently go upside down yet, so handstands and rocket has been challenging. And I didn't even realize how much of my confidence was based on what my body looked like and what my body could do until I quite literally couldn't do any of it. In our business, I was the hiring manager. I made all decisions for teachers that came on board. Of course, I had help from my team. And now I'm in a new town trying to get teaching jobs at different studios, sometimes being told that they are full or even being waitlisted. And so we start to collect this idea on our worth being what we do. And a lot of people, especially in America, one of the first things we do is we say, "What's your name and what do you do?" And it starts to teach us that our confidence is based on something outside of us. Recently, I had a client come to me who lost her job. She was literally winning awards at work, and then because of a restructuring in her company, was no longer going to be there. Y'all, do you know what this can do to you? And you think, my job is secure. I've been at my job for years. Y'all, life's. And that's something that I'm really passionate about is life will never be perfect. And I hope that there are ups and downs for you because it's really in those moments that we learn who we are. And so I'm in Charlotte. I'm building a community. But I've lost a lot of the things that I took for granted before and things that made me confident. And so this is what I want to offer to you. You don't have to go through a dark night of the soul where you move and have surgery and go through all of these things where you realize how conditional your confidence was. Because while this has been a total ass kicking, it's also been such a beautiful gift because I've started to realize that my confidence comes from how I value myself. And the craziest thing of all, and I have a little sneak peek of something coming, life responds to who you think you are. So if you lose your job and you think I'm a loser and nobody wants to hire me, the universal law of reflections is going to give that right back to you. And so how you think about yourself, how you feel about yourself, what you expect from the world is exactly what you will get delivered. And this is why conditional confidence is shaky ground to stand on. Because whether you know it or not, you're creating a confidence around a perceived idea of something. This can be being a good mom, being a good partner. It can be the simple things in life like gardening or eating organic food. And when anything that you value yourself on changes, and while it totally sucks, I hope it does, so that you can see that your worth and your value are not based on those things. And that's why I'm so passionate about confidence, is because in this season of letting go pretty much my entire identity, like y'all, some of you know, but I named my dog Rocket, like after Rocket Yoga. And I straight up can't even practice Rocket Yoga the way that I used to. My entire identity has shifted. And yeah, it's been a total ass kicking. And it's helped me see me for me, rather than these layers of conditioning we put on ourselves. And something even sneakier is that I found conditional confidence is a way to hide ourselves. It's a way to assume who we are is based on something outside of us. And so I want to give you this opportunity. Hopefully, maybe life doesn't come crashing down, or maybe it does, because isn't it the don't like moments that often give us the greatest self-assuredness and emotional development that we often need? But just in case life doesn't decide to hand you a spanking, I want you to look at all the things in your life that you really love. And I want you to really take stock of the way that it creates confidence in your life by having those things. And then I want you to think about how you would feel about yourself if you lost all of those things. Because those things, those relationships, places, all nouns, they create ideas. I want the idea of who you are, of your confidence, to come because of what's happening inside of you, because of the courage and the passion that you have to pursue a life that you love, because of the kindness in your heart and the way that your heart loves the world around you. Because even those things can shift inside trauma or deep loss or hard life moments, but coming back to ourself as we are is always easier than fighting to attain things that we once had that brought us confidence. And so while all my abs are gone and my handstands are so much shakier than they used to be, the person inside of me feels so much better. Because it's not this false sense of achievement anymore. Like I have to do something or achieve something or maintain something to be who I am. And this is what I really want to offer you in this episode. And what's even cooler is the guided meditation is going to be a little bit more like a subconscious listening. I'm going to offer you different ways of being and valuing yourself and being with yourself, so that when life inevitably lifes, which 100% I can guarantee at some point will happen, and we all don't like it, myself. I talk about these things for a living, y'all. And even when something challenge happens to me, I'm like, no, please not me. Why me? And in those moments, we grow. We rise from the ashes and we rebuild stronger versions of ourselves. And sometimes I think that we co-create with life to hand us spankings so that we can become the woman or person that we're meant to be. But I also believe that if we do the work beforehand, we have an ability to lessen the spanking. I'm using a metaphor, of course, like a little naughty spanking from the universe. And to really allow you to value yourself the way you do. And while I took my hot girl summer, I'm really excited to share that with you and the findings within that. I started to look at how life responds to us. And life responds to our frequency. We know this in quantum physics. We know that our vibrational match is exactly what we experience in life. And so if there are things that you don't like about your life, it is because your frequency, your inner vibration is quite literally not a match for that. And so I had some experiences happen this summer that made me realize that my frequency was set lower than I wanted it to be. And so I decided what might happen if I got really serious about changing my internal frequency. What are the things that move those levers? What are the things that create high vibrational frequency? And what are the things that create dense frequencies? And we know that things like love and gratitude and heart-based feelings create high frequencies. And we know that things like shame, guilt, those things create density. And so I started to look at all the places in my life where I was telling myself false stories about who I am and what I desire or what I'm worthy of. And I decided to change the script, and the results were crazy. I mean, like within days, stuff started to happen that I was like, what the actual freak is going on? So much so that even Matt was like, oh, okay, let's just try this out. I'm going to get on board. And within days, his life started to change too. I've started to implement this with my one-on-one mentorship clients, but I've been thinking about making a program, and I'm not quite sure what it's going to be called yet, but something about our frequency. Because that's really what conditional confidence is. It's like, oh, my vibration can be high, my frequency can be high. I can feel good about myself as long as. It's like a scientific equation, right? If X, then Y. Well, what if X is no longer there anymore? Then what about Y? And so what if we actually started to make Y, the way that you feel about yourself, the stories that you tell about yourself, your constant? Then how does life change? Then how does life react to things? And so I'm really excited because behind the scenes, I'm building this frequency program. And the way that I'm building it, y'all, is I'm living it first. I'm doing the work, I'm implementing it, I'm watching my clients implement it, I'm seeing what's working, I'm seeing what's not. And then I'm going to package this up and offer it to you guys because in my heart of hearts, and I'm curious if you feel this way too, even when you're hearing me talk, like, yeah, no duh. The way that we feel about ourselves is going to attract opportunities from the universe. And if your lower subconscious identity is that I'm only great when I have these things, I only feel good about myself if X. And so it's like, y'all, let's get rid of that variable and start to build such inner confidence, such inner strength in our own identity that when life's, cause it's going to, that you can be still in the eye of the storm. I like to think about the deep oceans when hurricanes happen and it's like, oh my gosh, the top waters, they feel everything, right? Things are like crashing about. It's dangerous for boats. But if you go really deep into the ocean, things are maybe just lightly moving along the sand, if at all. And that's the inner assuredness that I want to offer you. That's what I want to give to you. So if you are on my Instagram or if you're part of the email list, remember that the email list gets journal meditations. Like healing should not just be for the rich, y'all, right? And so I really wanted to offer a resource where in these weekly podcasts, you get to learn something. You get a meditation that pairs with it to help you heal on more deeper conscious layers and journal questions because reflection is everything. That's what I'm learning in this identity work that I'm doing around how I feel about myself is learning what are the even stories that I'm telling myself. And so if you're on my email list, you get a notification each week when a new episode drops, as well as journal questions to go along with it. If this episode was helpful for you, if this helped you see some of your confidence as conditional, if you had an oh shit moment around this, I want you to share this with somebody else because I want to create a whole net of human beings that really value themselves on who they are, that take the if X then Y equation out and they have a really sturdy Y in who they think they are, how they feel about themselves, and therefore how the world reacts to them. Thanks for being here, y'all.